Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. During the 2020 campaign, one of my neighbors had a sign in their yard which looked like this. Biden-Harris 2020, truth over lies, unity over division, science over fiction, and hope over fear. Joe Biden's view of science is centered around the idea that people burning fossil fuels causes bad weather and an increase in wildfires. On Earth Day 2022, the White House said, "Wildfires and extreme weather events are growing in frequency and ferocity." But this graph from the United States Forest Service shows that wildfire burn acreage is down 80% since the 1930s. This data is corroborated by historical evidence like this article from the New York Times in 1938. Forest fires, one every 3 minutes in 1937, burned almost 22 million acres. The article said that burn acreage in 1937 was only slightly more than half the acreage burned in 1936. Here's 1936 on the Forest Service graph, and here's 1937. It correlates precisely with what the New York Times said. As of January 29, 2021, the National Interagency Fire Center showed fire burn acreage all the way back to the year 1926, and it showed exactly the same thing as the Forest Service graph. The website included this disclaimer. Prior to 1983, sources of these figures are not known or cannot be confirmed, and were not derived from the current situation reporting process. As a result, the figures prior to 1983 should not be compared to later data. What that disclaimer seems to have been referring to is that the way they counted the number of fires was different prior to 1983. The number of fires reported was much higher prior to 1983, so you can't compare data after 1983 with data from before 1983. This sort of break in the data prior to 1983 and after 1983 is known as a discontinuity. A discontinuity like this is a big red flag that there's a problem with the data. But there's no discontinuity in the burn acreage data. It's a smooth curve prior to 1983 and after 1983. There's no reason for this data to be considered suspect. But the data does not support the Biden administration's claim that burn acreage is increasing because of the use of fossil fuels. We had a lot more burn acreage 90 years ago than we do now. This is what the data set looked like during the Biden administration's first week in office. But a few weeks later, the web page with the data on it disappeared. This is what the web page looked like on February 27, 2021. If you try to go to that web page now, it redirects you to a different page. The new page has data updated through 2021, and it hides all of the data prior to 1983. So this is what the updated graph looks like from 1926 to 2021. The red area shows all of the data which the Biden administration has erased prior to 1983. And the blue area shows the data which the Biden administration is allowing the public to see. By hiding the data prior to 1983, the Biden administration makes it appear like there's been an increase in burn acreage, which they blame on the burning of fossil fuels. What the Biden administration did to this data is pretty egregious, but it's actually much worse than that. The day before the 2020 election, the National Interagency Fire Center had this web page on their site. It showed that burn acreage in North America was down 90% from the pre-industrial period when carbon dioxide levels were very low. The report was prepared in 2001 by the Department of the Interior, Agriculture, Energy, Defense, Commerce, the EPA, FEMA, and the National Association of State Foresters. This report completely destroyed the administration's claim that burn acreage has increased because of the burning of fossil fuels. So one of the first things the Biden administration did after they got in the White House was to delete the report from the National Interagency Fire Center website. Now if you go to that webpage, it says, "The National Interagency Fire Center is committed to making its information and communication technologies accessible to individuals with disabilities." So the Biden administration says they're making the data accessible by making it completely inaccessible. There was never any problem getting access to the data before the Biden administration showed up. Biden made it very clear during the election that his intention was to get rid of fossil fuels, and that required demonizing them.
But kiddo, I want you to just take a look, okay? You don't have to agree, but I want you to look in my eyes. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate. Okay?
The goal of getting rid of fossil fuels was to reduce the supply of energy and thus make energy prices increase. Biden has been extremely successful at that. And a few weeks ago, he bragged about his success in making energy prices increase.
When it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over.
But Biden has a little problem. This is an election year and his polls are the lowest of any president in U.S. history. High gasoline prices are what Biden wanted and are a direct result of his actions. But he's in trouble politically, so he's decided to blame other people. He now blames gas station owners and Vladimir Putin for the high prices which he created. Jeff Bezos invested a lot of time and money in getting Biden elected, and now he seems to be having some regrets. Ouch! Inflation is far too important a problem for the White House to keep making statements like this. It's either straight ahead misdirection or a deep misunderstanding of basic market dynamics. Biden's entire 50-year career has been based around lies. He began it with some very famous plagiarism. I wonder if my neighbor has any regrets. Truth over lies, unity over division, science over fiction, and hope over fear. Dogs are very good judges of character, but unfortunately about half the human population doesn't seem so skillful at that. You can visit Toto, Kyrie Caesar, Toki, and Upala on the web at realclimatescience.com.